The Been There Done That podcast is brought to you by Excel Strength and Performance. Excel S&P offers online individualized programming for athletes of all levels. They've just recently come out with a new website and it's really good. So let's go check it out. The link in the description below. All right, everybody. A new month for the podcast. So that means we got a new monthly book recommendation. This one, we've got Game Changer, The Art of Sports Science, written to you by Dr. Fergus Conley and Phil White. Now, Fergus brings a really unique perspective to elite performance, and this book details that in a very, very powerful way. Now, Fergus has worked with teams in the NFL, NBA, Premier League, and the NCAA football, and also many more. So he has a diverse background that's applicable to all sports. This book is very insightful and well written. I highly recommend it. Now go in that link in the description box below for the Amazon link to purchase your copy. Welcome to episode 6 of the Been There Done That podcast. This week, I was honoured to have on board my Muay Thai coach, Bryan Harris. We've ventured through his early start of martial arts, his journey abroad, and now how and why he got into coaching. Thanks again to Bryan, and now on to the episode. All right, Bryan, thank you very much. I'm really excited to get stuck into some good old stories you've had from your martial art days.
Yeah.
Awesome, good session we had this morning.
Yep.
Loved the energy in the class. Everything that you bring to the class is, I love the energy, love everything. We all feed off you, so it's great.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll get right from the start. How does one get into the fight game?
Mine was pretty much the stereotypical,
Yeah.
I used to grow up, go to house parties and all that stuff. Was at one. My brother had some beef with a bunch of guys that turned out being there. I wasn't with anyone at the time. They all tried to surround me and all of this, and some random guy came out.
Yeah.
Stood up for me, helped me out through the night, and then at the end of it, goes, "Do you want to come learn?" I train people out the back of my house.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, "Yeah, right." So from there, I think I was 17. Wasn't the best of kids. Mm-hmm. But went in, started doing this, and it just sorted me out. Came in, we were training out the back. Everything was old school. Everything was fun. But yeah, just fell in love from day one.
Yeah, was it Muay Thai? Was it?
So it was technically Lethwei, which is so in all of them. So like Muay Thai, Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, they all have a very, very similar but different style of martial arts. Mm-hmm. The one we were learning was Lethwei, which traditionally is with no gloves. You're allowed so no glove fighting, there's no judges, so the only way to win's by knockout. What? And you're allowed a headbutt. So it's a little bit...
That's hardcore. And you were learning that at 17?
Yeah.
Straight up, just...
Yeah.
So what's the learning process of that? Is this you just straight into it, or for you was this straight into the deep end?
Yeah, so my first one, I remember my first sparring day, I got kicked and the boy was a lot heavier than me and sent me through one of the tin fences, and I ended up next door. We had to fix the fence and all of that. So it was pretty rough. That was a very raw style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was just that, you were 17, your first kind of introduction to martial arts. I'd say just straight into it.
Yeah, deep end.
17-year-old.
And then I think I trained there for, 3 months, and that decided that I actually want to do it. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to go to a proper gym. So I was training with my brother at the time. So my brother and my best friend, we were all going, we did it. So, and then my brother was living probably 45 minutes away. So he ended up going to a different club that I went to. So we both split. So myself and my mate went to one in Rockingham. So just a local one. It was like literally in a squash court.
Yeah, right.
So there was all squash courts, and then the last one was a Muay Thai gym.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit different place. And then my brother went to a traditional Burmese place. So I went there. I was new. I couldn't skip. I couldn't do any of the other things that a traditional Muay Thai gym does. So we went into Muay Thai now.
And Muay Thai is without with gloves and no headbutting.
Muay Thai is the art of 8 weapons.
Yep.
So it's shins, so kicking, knees, elbows, and punches.
Yeah.
They clinch a lot, but they still clinch in Lethway.
Yeah.
But it's a different style. So the way it was always described was Muay Thai is an art and Lethway is like a street fight. That's in a ring.
Yeah, right.
So it's a lot rawer. It's a lot more wild. Things come from everywhere.
Yeah. Hardcore.
It's a bit more traditionalist. So the Muay Thai style is a lot cleaner. It looks a lot better.
Yeah. Bit more of a heritage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we went to that. I think within the first 6 weeks, I was sparring their fighters. I was beating their fighters. So then the coach goes, "Do you want to fight?" And I'd never had an intent to compete. I just liked doing it. It was a good out for me. So just venting, doing everything, and a little bit of rage issues, being a kid, 17.
What was it? Your technique was better than theirs, or was it you had the desire to, or just like you had the anger, like you said, you had a bit of anger.
Just grew up tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that. I think I definitely didn't have better technique. I just probably tried a bit harder than anyone.
Okay.
I've never really been that clean guy. I've always had to work hard for anything I've achieved. My dad used to tell me, it was always a pillar of confidence. He told me once that your brother can pick anything up and be amazing, super talented. You're not. He goes, but your work ethic gets you places. So we ended up, through our hockey career, through our fighting career, we ended up pretty much in the same spot. One was really talented and one worked hard.
Just, the shin boner.
Yeah, just pure
Hard at
resilience. Yeah. But yeah, so 6 weeks in, I was like, "Do you want to fight?" I was like, "Yeah." None the wiser. Didn't know what I was getting into. Did my 6 week camp, got fit, did everything. Got to the weigh-in. I think I was weighing in at, I weighed in that day at 56.8 kilos.
Holy shit.
At 6'1" at the time, 6'1".
The skin and bone. That was,
so I was very skinny.
Would have been very dry.
My opponent didn't turn up.
Oh.
So they're like, "Do you want to go fight that guy?" And I was like, "Okay," because I didn't really know what I was in for. I had zero clue. I was like, "Yeah." He weighed in at like 64 point something.
Holy shit, 9 kilos.
Yeah, it was rough. And then I was like, "Yeah, okay, whatever, I'll do it." So got in, watched the first couple of fights, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, what have I got myself into?" Got in. Bell went, and this boy just rushed me, like ran at me, and I was like, "Oh!" I remember stepping to the side and kicked him, and then I was okay. So after that first shot, the nerves settled. I ended up doing really well. I stopped him in the second round. Luckily, I think, because he was a lot heavier than me.
Yeah. Cool.
It was something crazy, like a jumping kick, and then I just threw as many punches as I can, as raw as I was, and ended up finishing him. And Does that little, you had the little kind of 10 seconds when he was rushing out, does that happen every fight? You always sit and then you kind of go, whoop, it's on now? Yeah. So when I fight, or when I teach someone to fight, I always plan for the first 10 seconds. Outside of the first 10 seconds, it's what happens. As long as we've done our work, it'll come out under the lights. But that first 10 seconds is pretty much what we can plan for.
Yeah, because there's a massive gap between training and sparring and all that, and then stepping on, the nerves build up, everything, and then that first 10 seconds would almost be. So how do you plan and coach someone for those 10 seconds? So is this a lot of hard sparring, or is it just how does it?
So that's evolved over time. It went from hard, aggressive, you have to be tough, to some smarter, inner self work. So I personally do a bit of meditation. I do a lot of inner thought. So your inner monologue talk, always finishing with something positive, and then working out. So playing on my strengths rather than their strengths. Yeah. So I've done this. I can do this. I can do this. If this happens, this is what I'm going to do. If this happens, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start like this. I'm going to control the ring, or I'm going to push the pace from the start. So whatever it is, set yourself, but finishing positive in your mind leads to you just start feeling better. And then when you do come through that roller coaster of nerves going into the fight, you can deal with it a little bit more. You just realign all that, realign. Okay, this is it. I've done the work. I've ran. I haven't skipped training. I've put in everything I need to do. I am ready for this.
It's almost, I always say fighting is almost the most pure sport ever. Every other sport would have come from fighting way back in time, because this would have been you're fighting for the hierarchy in the wherever you're living in the tribe or anything like that. And then every sport now is kind of a regression of what fighting was once.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So everyone would have been fighting now. It's just sport is you still now you got teams, but there's always that competition between one team versus another. But without fists and stuff, it's more less violence.
Combat competitive.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you still have that. We have that, and we've evolved, and our societies around it, and they still are. But yeah, it's a healthy thing done in the right way.
Exactly. That's what. Yeah, everyone says the violence isn't the greatest, but it's more or less more of the time it's respectful to opponents. As just you're just testing your skills against another person's skills.
It's
right?
just a sport. So to be honest, some of my closest friends are the people I've fought, or being next to me while I'm fighting. There's something special about trying to hurt each other in a ring, and then at the end of it, you're hugging your best friends, and from that you've got something special that no one else will ever have.
It's like a bond, isn't it?
Yeah. So it is really good, and then that is a community within a community, and it is.
Within fighting teams and clubs, there's always that interconnectedness between all of them that you probably don't get from many other sports.
No. Yeah, it gets marked as a blood sport. It gets marked as a selfish sport, and in all honesty, it is a selfish sport. Mm-hmm. But we wouldn't be anywhere without our teammates. So the team part is still there, like it's still very in. But when we're in there, it is something different. If you don't do the work, comes out.
And it's a team again, like with the guys you're training with. It's like if someone's in a fight team together and someone's fighting, it's the whole team getting that one person ready for a fight as well, isn't it?
That is something special to watch. Like, and you started to see it and stuff. So what we do, everyone gives up their time. They gives up that. Like, I'd rather not hit pads if I'm not training, and in order to get the boy ready or the girl ready or get them ready or just do whatever it is for them, because they'll pay it back when it's my time. So it is a selfish sport, but it's also not, because everyone gives everything to that other person that's fighting.
That's a good point. Yeah, everyone gives something to that one person as well. So it's not just them fighting in the ring. It's it's
a team.
It is a team, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you've got the coaches that are there and all the supporters. So you had that one experience, your first fight. From there, was it just you were straight into the next one, or you kind of?
Yeah. So I did another dumb one. My next one from that was I went in and I weighed in at 58.9, and I fought a boy at 63.5 who cut from 67.
Shit.
Yeah. So I learned after this one. So he cut from 67. It was his fifth fight. It was my second fight.
Yeah.
So everything was under, like, it was an uphill battle, and it was a war. It was like I got my nose splattered. There was blood everywhere. Got my mouth guard punched out. The weight made a difference.
You can feel the difference. Yeah.
And experience and everything else. He'd been in the game a lot longer.
Yeah.
I wasn't prepped. I wasn't ready. Lesson learnt.
Yeah.
I lost that fight. I got the snot beat out of me.
Yeah. How long gap between the first one and that one?
I think it was about 7 weeks.
Okay.
Only because we couldn't get a match. I would have fought the next week.
Oh, really?
But at that weight, it was very hard, because it's like...
That wasn't your natural weight, 50, 55?
It wasn't my natural. I wasn't cutting.
Oh, you really?
Yeah, I wasn't cutting weight. I was just a skinny boy.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I was like really short and then grew, but my body hadn't filled out yet.
Yeah, right.
So...
But you were still 17?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was probably 18 by the time I fought.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
But still the same thing. Still growing. Still trying to grow.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm still trying to grow into my body. So.
Oh god. So you got the snot beat out of you at that time, and then what kind of the key learnings you took out of that kind of prep?
I remember out of the ring, I was all disappointed. My brother's coach come up to me and goes, "You got a lot of heart, but you need some skill." And he was an traditional old Burmese man, so straight shooter, which I work really well with. Yeah. So I'm a straight shooter. My parents are straight shooters. So if someone says something and it's honest, I'm okay with that. So he said that, and I said, it might be time. So I ended up moving camps and ended up going up to the Burmese camp up in Midland. So I was travelling from, at this time I was in Kwinana, which is like, close to an hour drive every night.
Back.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So an hour there, hour back to train. but it was the best thing I ever did because the discipline, everything that we learned, like everything was regimented. And I work well with that. I work well with structure, as in like, this is what we do, this is what we do, this is what we do. Our normal thing was we'd go in, we'd run 5Ks. So we were under the velodrome, the cycle drome. So we'd just be up top watching them cycle and we'd be just running around. So we'd get in and these were long sessions. So we'd train for like 2.5 to 3 hours. So it was very old school. So we'd run first, we'd come back down, we'd do 5 sets of 100 kicks. Then we would stop, and then we'd start warming up. So that was our pre-work. I mean, science has gone. There's a lot that's actually happened since then. The merit in it and the resilience it taught you was that if I can get through training like this, I can get through fights. So we did that, and then we'd go into our normal prep: skipping, shadow boxing, rounds, bag rounds, tech rounds, sparring, clinching.
And they'll just change up,
and it would
depending on the day.
Just keep changing, and it was just that old traditional style where it was just we'd train for a long period of time. It wasn't always hard, but we were there for a long time. So,
and you attribute that key, the 5K running at the start there, or the pre-work you had to do now to where you kind of develop the skill. Like, it's just that constant struggle and constant making you put through that hard work to actually, that your reward is training now to do that hard work. And now now the training starts. It's like the old Schwarzenegger used to say, don't start counting reps until it starts hurting. Essentially the same
exactly
kind
that.
of
Like your road
mentality.
work was your road work. That's what you did. That was non-negotiable. We did that and then we trained. So that part was to make you better at training so you could get through the rounds or so you can get through the session. So at the start it's hard, but once you do it, it's actually a warm-up. Like you wouldn't think of 5K as a warm-up. We're not running like records.
It was just essentially was just a jogging
run, especially after like you've had some fights and stuff and you've just had a fight. So you come in, we were only allowed 1 day off. So if we fought
one day off a week.
No, after the fight.
After a fight.
Yeah, it was 1 day off. So we were allowed the Monday off and back in Tuesday.
And it's the same
because
thing again.
What we found was that if we had a week off, it took too long. A week, and then you didn't train properly for the next week and that. So to keep someone involved, they didn't train hard. But that first run, you come in on the Tuesday, blown up ankle, shin, get on, and the first sort of K is like, why am I doing this? But then that thought process changes and over and over and over. So when things get tough, that resilience really does like pay dividends, and you go, well, I can do this. I've done this. I've ran with this. I've done this. So the inner belief and that inner monologue changes from a negative to a positive.
Did it take a while for you to kind of make that mindset shift?
Years. Yeah. So it was a good few years. So I ended up going to the Burmese place. And training, and I had to start scratch. So they even though I'd had fights,
they were like that.
I was in the beginners class. Until I earned my merits. So I had to earn my stripes into the intermediate, and then I finally got into the fighters, and it took me 6 months. So I didn't fight again for 6 months. Which was the best thing ever. It taught me to be humble. It taught me I had to thing. And then when I started training with the fighters, it's like I've earned this. I didn't just get it handed to me because I had fights from a different club. So there was none of that. There was no favoritism, even though my brother was there in training in the fighters.
Was it that club that you were with, was that just a fight club only? Or was it, was like a normal class, you could just sign up?
You could, but it was one of those old school ones where they don't advertise. If you know someone, you know someone, you know someone who knows someone. Come in, it's just literally under, the roof was the velodrome. So the roof was actually like wood, and you could just hear the bikes going over and over.
That's real old school.
It
was even, like a club. It was just sign up.
And it's like just this little rectangle. Like it's so old. We had no mats on the floor. It was canvas on the floor.
Shit.
So
what about you doing like sweeps and stuff? You're just dropping them on the floor?
Yeah. We had to be careful with it because it was concrete. It was essentially concrete with canvas.
They weren't that crazy dropping you on the concrete.
No, we did all that stuff in the ring. So we had a small little ring which was like 2.5 meters by 2.5 meters. So you learnt to stay in the pot. It was real small. Wow. It was just everything was small. And
did your movement suffer as like in a fight because you were training so small?
Yes, but you also learnt to fight.
Because you had nowhere to go.
Yeah, you wouldn't run. Yeah, exactly. You had nowhere to go, so you had to defend. So.
Holy shit.
And then when you go into it, it's like it's like 6 meters. So most of the rings we'll fight was 6x6, and it's like
hello room.
Yeah, and then you run around and it's different, but the carryover is the same. So the skill, whether we trained in a big ring or we trained in a small ring, is the same. Except I think it's more valuable that you learn so you don't run away.
Yeah, I get that. Away. Yeah, early on for people when they they kind of see like a deer in the headlights and they kind of just keep trying to move away.
Yeah.
But then in a ring, you've got the rings and you got the ropes there that you can't get out of the way.
Yeah, yeah. So it teaches you that, teaches you how to defend properly, and you really hone in on holding your ground.
Yeah,
because it is important in fighting.
Was the key skill difference was your defense that you had to kind of develop when you moved over? Was it the biggest thing?
And keeping my hands up. So you can't be lazy and drop your hands and stuff because you're pretty much in punching range at all times in that sort of stuff, and teaches you to like read someone because they're not coming in anymore. Yeah. They're in range. So
right.
All the little tie ways where they used to put their foot in the tire so you can't go away. It teaches all that, like every sort of camp has their own way of teaching you how to stay in the pocket and fight.
Foot in the tire, and then you just kind of circle around. Is that how you work?
Yeah. So leading foot's in the tire. Yep. And we don't kick when we do that one, but we just box.
And you're just kind of moving around. Yeah,
so you're just circling. Or what happens is you literally just end up standing there and just punching. So everything drops, the power drops, but you actually start learning
it's like
now.
Tapping.
Yeah, no, it gets
a little bit harder.
Yeah. As soon as one shot lands, sort of like
it raises the bar.
escalates. And then you get tired and it comes back down.
Yeah, okay. So. And how long would you do? That'd be
normal rounds. Just a 3-minute round.
And that was something that was your kind of club?
Yeah, that's my club. It happens a lot in Thailand. It still happens around here, like a lot. So
it took you 6 months to get up into the class we were sparring. When was the next fight after that?
It happened pretty quick.
Okay.
I went in and did my time and fought on one of the development days.
Okay.
Ended up getting in the ring, so it was my third fight. Once again, I got stitched up.
With the weight?
No, this time was experience.
Oh.
So the guy was like, comes in, it was his first Muay Thai fight, but he'd have like 8 MMA fights and had boxing fights, but didn't disclose, but then wrote him on his sheet. So we've gone into an over-experienced guy, and we were in the ring, and then the record got announced, and I looked at my coach, and he goes, "You'll be right."
So why did he do that? Just to kind of get an easier fight?
Yeah, well, he might have just not done it, because it is his first Muay Thai fight.
Oh, okay.
But when they look at that, they do look at experience and stuff like that. Nowadays, because it's so heavily regulated, it's all like, we won't let someone who's had 10 boxing fights fight a first timer, because it's not fair, and it ruins someone's career, dreams, aspirations, everything. If it's a bad match, it's not great.
So it's the same thing. So someone's done 10 boxing fights, but it's their first Muay Thai. They have to just disclose that they've done 10 boxing.
Yeah, and then it's up to the camp. A lot of the time they go, yeah, no worries, but it's known from the start.
Because there is different boxing and Muay Thai and all these different. In a way, they're all different, but there are similarities, a lot of them. Yeah, and
the nerves. So the nerves and being in the ring. So dealing. Exactly. So the saying is that you lose 50% of your fitness when you walk through the ropes.
Because you're stressy, because it's the stress.
The adrenaline, you have this big adrenaline dump in the first round. Like, first-time fighters are some of the best ones to ever watch, because they go hammer and tong the first round, and the first round is exciting. And then they get tired.
Yeah.
And then it's sloppy and they're hanging on each other, and that's earning you stripes.
Mm-hmm.
And no one's exempt from it. We all do it, and it all happens. And then afterwards, you go, I'm not fit enough. And then your coach usually says, you just blew all your energy in the first round. So now we've got to be smart.
Yeah.
So then it comes down. How you use your energy. So you got to use that energy meter and use a little bit, let it recover. Use a little bit, let it recover.
And that's what you're saying as well. The mental training you do in that first 10 seconds, what do you like? That kind of calms you down, takes the heart rate down a little bit lower. Yep. So you're not, they're not blowing out in that first round and kind of calm. Until they hit you the first one, and then you're in.
And then that's it. That first punch, once you get hit the first time, you realise it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so true. Even kind of still being young and learning the sparring and all that sort of stuff, you're always that nervous, that first hit, and then it's all right, let's just go.
Yeah, that's it. And that's why we do a lot of interclubs and bring people from other clubs so we can develop the but getting used to the nerves and how to deal with the nerves, and that we're a lot more comfortable that when you are ready to step in the ring and compete, you are ready to step in the ring and compete.
So that third fight you had didn't go so well?
Yeah, no, I
didn't.
won. I ended up winning.
Oh.
I ended up winning, which I was shocked. Just because there was like a big meeting and we had to wait 5 minutes because it wasn't disclosed and this and that. So we're standing in the ring. And
this is at the start of the fight.
In the ring. And my brother's trying to keep my attention because I'm starting to panic now. I'm like, I'm going to get my kicked in. Yeah. And I was like, oh. And he's like, don't worry. It is what it is. It's no different than what it was 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
The only difference is now you know. So then I ended up going and I did really well. So I ended up winning that fight.
Beautiful.
And then I had another one in quick succession. And then I probably had 4 months off and just trained and got better. And I think my fifth fight, I fought a boy from a different club. But if I won this fight, I was allowed to fight for a title.
Oh, wow.
So this was coming into my sixth fight.
Yeah.
And I was allowed to fight for a title. So I ended up winning convincingly. And then I fought the guy, so my seventh fight was the guy I fought in my fifth fight, and it was a split decision win to me.
For the previous fight?
Yeah, for the previous fight.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of smack talk because he was half Burmese and I was from a Burmese camp and they all knew each other and there was a lot of talk.
Oh, bit of the rivalry there.
Yeah. And then all night, because it's my first main event, and I was like nervous. He was nervous. We were both nervous. So I was finally at my weight. So I was fighting at 63.5 now.
Okay.
But I was sitting at 64. So we're always
what weight class is that? 60.
Super welterweight.
Super welterweight. Okay.
Yep. And it depends on what section, but super welterweight is what we were fighting at. And got in and we drilled, and I'm a big believer on drilling that first 10 seconds, and my poor friend and my brother had welts because my plan was to come in, close ground real quick, hit the inside and come up because I knew that when it went low, his hands would drop.
Yep.
So I had a specific combo that I drilled like 1,000 times. So we touched gloves, and I remember he went, but he stepped back, so I hit a jumping knee and closed the gap, and then sort of settled in, and it was like a high shot with my hand, inside kick, head kick. The head kick landed, and as he was going down, I threw the hook, hit him, and he went down in the corner of his thing, and that was it. So 27 seconds in the first round, he was unconscious, and it was a bad one. It wasn't the greatest, and then it just erupted. So because of all of that, it was one of those times where the family were on the side of the ring, and he ended up getting oxygen. Bad? Yeah, it was bad. Yeah, it was a bad knockout. So it's one of those ones, and I don't wish ill on anyone. I don't like seeing people hurt. And then dealing with that, I'm trying to celebrate because I put all the hard yards in, and then his uncle was up there trying to yell at me and this and that. And then my poor mum, is the first fight she ever come to watch.
Oh.
And she's crying in the corner next to my best friend. She's got the contents, so the fight card over her face, crying, and then didn't come to another fight.
Oh.
So that was the first and only fight she came of mine, and goes, I don't like that.
Yeah, that's insane.
I don't know why you do that.
So, I mean, because you fight, because like we said before, it's like you want to display skills against someone else. You don't want to bloody hurt someone that bad.
No.
Holy shit, you need oxygen.
Yeah. So it came to, and ended up still thinking he was fighting.
Yeah.
And need the ref in the groin and drop the ref. And it was just a series of events. And then we ended up, and we're cool. We spoke since, obviously, but I mean, that was probably my first thing of, wow, this is real.
You did it, because you're obviously happy because you won the title, but then you're like, well, fucking, this guy's, knocking on, not very good places. Like he's unconscious for a very long time and needs oxygen and all this sort of stuff. That must have felt like it was weird mixed emotions, wouldn't have been?
Yeah, it's not the greatest of feelings when that sort of stuff happens. It's great because it is a competition, and anyone that gets past their first 5 fights, in my opinion, starts to understand that aggression doesn't work. So anyone that's angry in the ring won't make it past 5 fights. Because it's a sport and it's a battle of attrition, and if you are that way inclined, you'll get exposed.
Yeah, so firefights usually.
Usually, like you.
Because then by that stage, you're kind of getting better opponents.
Yeah, because they've had
skilled.
firefights and they can read and you'll gas out and they'll pick you apart. And there's nothing worse than being angry and someone laughing at you and just tagging you. And then they just usually stop. So you sort of, once you start hitting over that mark, you're like, okay, this is it. What's my style? And I'll start learning. So I developed my style. And although my brother is the same height, he was always heavier than me. So we fought pretty much alongside for 10 years.
Wow. So usually the same fights card, you'd be on the same.
Yeah, we're on a lot of the same fight cards. If not, we were cornering each other. And then when we started traveling,
you'd obviously use each other a lot in training.
Yeah, we were sparring partners. Yeah.
They would have helped you fighting a bigger guy, or didn't really?
No, definitely helped. Because I know I could take a punch, and there's nothing like sparring your brother. It's like a fight every night. So, my trainer used to say, go light, and it got to the point where it's like, I'd tell you to go light, but you're not going to listen. So it was always fun.
Sibling rivalry and competitiveness between brothers is we can't stop that. It's like just a natural born thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can't, if the coach says do something like this, one hit and he's like,
it's all right until someone lands on, and then it just goes. But it was always fun. So it was my best training partner was my brother. Yeah,
right. So you won that. So you won the title. Then from there, was it decision to go?
I ended up going to the SEA Games in Iran after that. What year was that? I went to Thailand.
Yep.
So that was in 2007. Went and did a month and a bit camp in Buriram, which is like some old rice fields northeast of Bangkok. It's like everything is short people land. Like it's so hard. We had
6'1".
Yeah, I'd have to duck under everything, or I'd hit my head, and you forget. Wow. And you turn around.
The 6'1" isn't really that.
Like just above your head.
Oh.
Yes, I'd grown by that, so I was like 6'2" by now.
Yeah, okay.
But same. It's like everything is, because the further out, everything there are a little bit shorter in that sort of field, so you don't usually get tall ties. Yeah, they're a rarity. So we went there. I went to train at Masa Promotes gym at Nong Ki Payut, which was an old famous gym. So one of the famous fighters in the Golden Era. Now the Golden Era is some of the best fighters ever in Muay Thai. I went to train with Nom Kabon. He wasn't working, but he came down and showed his face because he was owning a restaurant now, so he'd retired from fighting. So we trained with his coach and all the young and up-and-coming fighters. And then there was an event there where we fought Australia versus Thailand. Oh. So my brother, one of the little boys there, one of the girls, we all fought against some of the Thailand guys.
Was that a step up in competition? Because obviously they've been training
This was my first essentially pro fight.
Oh.
So, although none had shin pads because back in the day it wasn't regulated like it is now. So the only difference between pro and amateur was one was 2-minute rounds and one was 3-minute rounds.
Yep, so pro's longer round.
Yeah, longer round, but we had, so if it was like a 3x2 or 5x2 with a 1-minute rest, it would be a 3x3 with a 2-minute rest, or a 5x3 with a 2-minute rest. So it's arguably better because you get a longer rest.
Yeah.
So as you know, with energy systems, like 60 seconds isn't long enough, but 2 minutes is great.
Exactly.
So I would always, and now to the day, I'd opt for 5-3s over 5-2s. You just recover quicker.
Yeah. You get a bit longer rest.
Yeah.
So how long was it in Thailand you were there for? Was it like a camp or was it?
Yeah, so we did 5 weeks.
5 weeks, and then the fight.
And then the fight. We all got sick because we're not used to the food.
Yeah.
I think I was bedridden for the 3 days before the fight.
Did you lose much weight?
Yeah, I lost like 4 or 5 kilos.
Oh.
But I still weighed in. I weighed in a little light, but nothing too crazy. I was fine.
Were you compromised in that fight? Do you feel like you were weaker?
I didn't have the energy, yeah. But because I was so tall, I weighed in once again, got stitched up. I weighed in against this boy, and that wasn't the boy I fought. So they switched and they put another just because of my height and stuff. These things happen. So I weighed in against one guy, and then he fought earlier, And I was like, and then there was a taller boy. There was a taller, more experienced boy that I fought. And it was supposed to be 3 3s, and it ended up being 5 3s. So it was live on Thai TV. It was like a really big event. It was really cool.
Because there would have been that Thai experience, because they they learn, well, they all start so young, don't they? It's all part of their kind of heritage, isn't it?
Yep.
Learning.
Yep. So they usually start fighting anywhere from the age to 6 to 8.
Fighting.
Yep.
Shit.
So they do shorter rounds.
Yeah.
They do like a 2-minute round.
Pads, like, do they wear like shin pads and stuff?
No,
straight
no
into
pads,
it.
just gloves.
I guess that gets them used to the nerves and that sort of stuff straight away.
Yeah. So basically, your first sort of in that sort of time, especially your first fights, were to see whether you were good or not. And then if you were
as
good,
a young kid.
Yeah.
Oh shit, they would pick them that young.
Yep. And then you would train, and then if you got sold to the camp, they would sell you to a big camp in Bangkok.
They would sell you to a camp.
Yeah, 'cause it's a different world.
Yeah, but holy shit! So your parents just like, here's the money to the camp. The
camp would buy, and then they were that because they'd feed them and provide.
Almost be like an auction and stuff. Eh?
No, not really. It's like if it was what it was, it would go okay. It helps provide for the families, so they send money to their families and stuff.
And they train the kid up to fight.
Yeah, and if they were good, they'd make money. So there's very few options for the outskirts out there. Like they either fight or they go down a different route. Because not a lot of them. So my old trainer didn't go to school, didn't go he found out he was good. He went from there. He made it in Bangkok. If you're a Bangkok fighter and you fight on the Bangkok circuit,
that's the
creme de la creme. That's where you are. And if you've made it in that, and you start fighting in the two major stadiums, Rajamanman and Lumpini, then you're up there. Yeah, and then if you can win a belt in that, a Lumpini title or a Raja title, you're the best.
Doing well.
Yeah, world titles are on par now with Lumpini title. If you're a Lumpini champ, it's like you're a world champ. So that's how high it's in regard it's held.
So did you have to have, like, when you came over, so obviously someone in your camp knew those guys there? Is that how you kind of got connected?
Yeah. So they brought the golden era over here. So one of the old Pons Gym brought him over in a company with Kevin, so my old trainer, and he got connections with Nomkabon's trainer, Master Promote, and then they sort of thing, and they used to do some traveling and stuff, and go there, and then that's the camp we would go to when we did our Thailand travel. So a lot of clubs try to do the Thailand experience once a year.
Yeah, okay.
And this was one of them, but we went over there and then we fought.
Wow.
It's a common thing.
So you would go once a year, or was you?
It ended up being a few, because we ended up, by this time now, we were getting into it, and we started getting fights in other countries and stuff like that, and so interstate. And
your reputation kind of...
Once you sort of hit and you start and you win a belt, so I became state champion before I went.
Yep.
The doors open, and if you're good, the doors start opening, and you start actually being able to travel.
Wow.
So and then the experiences come, and then it's just addictive from there. So then we did that one. I came back, and then we met an Iranian guy over there, Amir, and then so he set up for us to go to the SEA Games. So there was 5 fighters from Perth went and represented Australia. It was one of those things, because we had to get special exemption because we were in Iran. Yeah.
Was it that would have been the war? Was it the war times over there then? Would have been around that.
I think it was 08. So
but tensions and
it was
been very tight.
Yeah, it wasn't the most enjoyable trip.
Yeah, nerve-wracking and
yeah, it was different. It was different. Dubai was amazing. We spent 5 days in Little India in Dubai with all the little workers and drinking in the tea houses, and that was different. That was cool. And then we went to Kish Island. Got there and they wanted to take our passports at the airport, and from there it just kind of went downhill.
Shit.
So they tried to take our passports, and then we called Amir. Amir sorted it all out, went to the hotel, we did our weigh-in, and then we got asked not to go to that hotel again, so then we had to go to a different hotel.
Oh, right. Just because you are out of the country, Australian, or
yeah, no, because in the weigh-in there's a lot of skin showing and it's disrespectful, which is understandable.
Okay.
But because it was in the foyer,
oh,
yeah. So everything was like just different. I just weren't prepared for it.
yeah, got to be different. Yeah,
Yeah. So we went through, weighed in. I was supposed to be in B division on this one because I'd only had 7 fights by this stage. They put me in A division.
Oh,
So A division's like essentially against pro fighters. And a lot of these guys that compete, this is their job. So if you go to the guys like Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Belarus, they get like a wage to do this, and they just go from tournament to tournament to tournament.
there's a way, so they don't get paid per fight.
That's what they do. They get paid if they win.
Yeah,
Like if they
bonus
win a belt.
yeah.
Oh, sorry, like a gold medal or whatnot. But then they just that's their job essentially.
Wow.
So
Like a
I got put in
professional.
against these guys, and we were in the hotel, and it was crazy. We had no internet, we had no phone reception. We'd go down to get some food. We weren't allowed down there, obviously, at times because of specific things and religious factors.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
blah, blah, blah. All of that sort of stuff, which is all cool.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just not the best mindset. So
Yeah, because
then-
everything gets shuffled around what you used to.
and then we weighed in, came back, and now it's fight day. So this was all happening over the first few days, just getting settled. Went to walk to the local servo to get some food, fight prep stuff, just some carbs and stuff like that. Went to pay for it, and they said there's not enough money. And I was like, but you're matching the numbers. You're using dirham over there.
Yeah.
They're like, and then they end up crossing out a zero on the note. It was 10,000 dirham, and they're
What?
like, no, this is only 1,000. And it was just it's a whole nother world.
So they took you for a ride.
Yeah, pretty much. So we ended up getting our stuff anyway, walking back, and then the police came because it was like 2 non-Iranian people
Yeah.
and pulled guns on us and
What?
yelled at us and told us
Get back inside.
Yeah, so we had to.
Holy shit.
We were trying to walk to the hotel. They made us get in a taxi, and then so the taxi was taking us, and halfway through kicked us out to pick up some locals. So then we got kicked out, and then we had to walk, and we're terrified on the streets
So
walking.
that would have screwed with you going to the fight.
Yeah, and then we got there, and then it was all good. You know, watching these, and this is my first experience on the world circuit, and it's a whole nother level. Everyone goes hard because this is the game. So it was like,
Wow, a step up from.
yeah, even because it's just a local thing, and although it was an international fight,
Yeah.
this is an international tournament with some of the best fighters in the world. They're just fighting in this.
Yeah,
It's
right.
it's like a world amateur style, but it's called Sea Games. So this one is same thing. So you actually wear head guards, elbow pads, shin pads on this one
Okay.
because you can fight once a day for 5 days. So it's like a round robin style. So you have your pool, you get your tag. Okay, sweet. Your first fight's against them. Winner, then fight. Winners fight every day until the gold medal.
What? After every day?
Yeah. So each day. So sometimes it'll be like, okay, day 1 you fight.
Yeah.
Then they do it. Okay, so you have to weigh in again. So then you fight, and then you have to weigh in again. You fight if you win until you're into the medal sort of polling.
So you're weighing in every time.
weighing in.
Did you have to? So were you kind of cutting weight? How much were you cutting weight then?
This one I didn't cut weight.
Okay, so yeah, because that would have been the fluctuation would have been nuts.
Yeah.
You have to fight it continuously.
Yeah. So you have to. It's a healthy balance. I was lucky enough I didn't have to with this one.
But did you know people there that were doing that?
Yeah.
Fluctuations?
Yeah.
Whoa.
It's just watch them running.
And then they had to fight.
And they have to fight, and then they have to recover. So it's all about like the battle of attrition.
That's almost a little bit like wrestling. They have to do that over in the States. They're collegiate wrestling. They do a little bit, especially if they've got their fights and they go into the final fight. So the next day they have to, they got weigh-in in the morning and they got fights later in the day, and then they go weigh-in again the next day. But they've got to make sure they don't eat too much during the fights on that day.
Yeah.
That they can make sure they hit the weight again the next morning.
Yeah, that's the hardest part, finding that balance of you need to refeed, you need to refuel, but you don't want to go too hard because then if you do win, you have to cut again. But that weight cutting part, hopefully that changes soon. So we did that. I ended up getting Kazakhstan. I learned real quick that Kazakhstan, because this is the days of Borat and stuff, I think, around about now, they are actually no joke.
Yeah,
They're some
pretty
of the
hardcore.
scariest guys I've ever seen fight.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Or just
good.
they're born and bred in hard places, makes
Just
them harder.
tough. Like
Yeah.
all of those, not so much like, but all of like the war-torn style places. And then the
There's no other that to fight.
they're just tough. Their resilience. I used to think I was resilient. They just do not care. They will just hurt you, and I got
Different.
smashed.
Wow.
Yeah, it was not a fun time. I won the first round, and then the second round he turned it up, and it was not fun. I ended up getting kneed, and then he elbowed me on the top of the head, and that was it. And I couldn't feel my legs, and I was like, I'm in trouble here. Turns out it was okay. Yeah. But I was talking to him afterwards, and he'd had like 95 fights, and yeah, it was a stitch
That's
up.
a lot of fun.
It was good.
So you're winning the first round, and then he comes out and like knocks you around silly.
Just turned it up, yeah.
Yeah, and you used to stand there going, "What the hell just happened?" Like,
yeah,
there's probably not enough time to even think like that. Just after that, you go.
It was like sometimes in fights it changes and that you've always got the puncher's chance, and this was it. As soon as one shot landed, the whole thing turned.
Yeah, okay.
So you got to stay in the fight. So you'll hear your coaches and everything, stay in the fight, keep doing it, because all it takes is one shot, and then once that one shot hits, it can change, and that's the best thing to watch.
And you know if you've hurt someone, don't you?
Yeah,
you can.
You just
people don't know when you say I know I. It's like, how do you know you hurt someone? You can kind of
you watch it. Sometimes
you actually feel it.
Yeah,
you can feel it.
Their body goes into that kind of half startled position. You know, they come up, they start protecting their organs. Then you jump on them.
Yeah. Shit.
But yeah, so I did that one, came back, and then I fought for another belt. It was just late. I think I took it on like a week's notice. I was on a big show down here for a nice big WBC belt. Okay. So the big shiny green ones, they look amazing.
Oh yeah,
I've seen those ones. It's my favourite belt.
The green one, WBC. Is that
WBC.
Yeah.
Yep. So that was promoted. I ended up beating a boy. So I took it short notice. I dominated the fight, dropped him in the 5th round. I went to decision. It was a unanimous points. So I won that.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a good fight.
When you know, so when you get picked for a fight, do you kind of, if you know like their experience level or something, you kind of know, I'm in with a good chance, or you always try to have that mentality, he's always going to beat me, like he's going to beat the living shit out of me, or I'm going to train just as hard every time? Or you kind of gauge? Yeah,
so my personal thing was don't take shortcuts because they come out in the ring. So I always trained as hard as I could because I could never, in my opinion, I could never rely on my skill because I never rated it.
Yeah, because
so
it's never...
it's something, I was always the young kid. So I'd always train. So I read something from Cenk Behik, which was an amazing kickboxer. It was like no shortcuts to a world title. And it was the little things you do, like never cheat yourself because it'll come out in the ring. So running on the road, don't cut across the thing, run down and around, don't take the shortcuts now because it sets a bad precedence later in life. So it's all the little things. Even if you're tired, don't ever stop that run. If you plan to do it, you will get better from it. If you're not feeling well, do it, you will get better. The days that you don't want to train are the best days because you will get something out of it. The days that you're on, they're great.
Yeah, they're easy.
They feel good.
Yeah.
But the days that you don't want to train and nothing's working, they're the ones that make a champion.
Yeah, they're the ones. You got to have that. You got to have like David Goggins. You've heard of David Goggins?
Yep,
yeah, you need him in your ear. Just fucking put those shoes on. Fucking get at it.
And just do it.
Fucking do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once because you got to put one shoe on, put the other one on, and you just have to get out.
Yeah, and once you start, you're sort of
halfway through.
By halfway, that first part, you're playing that internal monologue game where you're just fighting. But I could, and you can think of 1,000 excuses. They all could be worth it. They all could be justified. But if you want it, you got to do it. Exactly. So you've got to want it. And in this game, you need to be obsessive. You need to want to do it
because it's so technical. The sport, you're gonna have to be. It's almost like golfers, like how obsessive they are over their swing. Yeah. Like there's a routine that they have.
Yeah.
Same with fighting as well. You got to have the right attitude towards your skill. You can't, be lazy with your jab or anything like that because you're gonna get hit and Can't be lazy with your footwork. You got to be able to move around effectively, all that sort of stuff as well, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the difference is you will get hurt. And if you don't prep...
that should be a pretty good motivator.
It's a very good motivator, because especially once you've tasted losing, it's worse than getting hurt. Like, losing is, in my opinion, losing is worse than getting hurt. You learn the most from it, granted, but it hurts. I don't like to lose personally. So my motivator wasn't not getting hurt, it was not losing. And that was enough for me. That was enough for me to train.
Did you have any setbacks and all that in your career at all, like in training at all?
I mean, yeah, I've had setbacks, I've had injuries, I've had all of that. Life gets in the way. It all comes down to when you want it, and when it all things align. If you want it hard enough, all of those things will just be pushed to the side.
Did you ever have a point where it was like there's so much to focus on and to learn that it was just like it kind of beat you down a little bit? You know what I mean?
Yeah. But that's where the team comes in. Like, there's times where you lose it, and the fight camps get too much. And you've probably started seeing that now. Like, you're almost on breaking point every time. But it's like that density gets better. You get a little bit thicker skin. You know to deal with it. You know that you can get through it. Once you've done one, you can do another. It does. And that threat bucket does fill up, and you're like, this isn't worth the risk and isn't worth the reward. It is. Once you get through it, and once you see that light at the end of the tunnel, and you get that feeling when your hands raised, it's the
I guess that's probably like how it's because it's such an emotional sport, because you're playing at the edge all the time, and then tasting victory would just feel so much better.
Yeah, and someone has to lose. Like, it's one of those things where it's literally a 33% chance that you lose. So win, loss, or draw. Like, there's not much else. So,
what's the mentality you have around head knock, concussions, that sort of stuff? Do you kind of just not think about it at all, or just kind of?
My attitude towards that's changed a lot. Obviously, modern technology and everything that's happening, I'm real big on that in the club and in everything. I try not to, if I see someone take a hard shot, and even though I want to train, I won't. I'll pull them back and everything. Like, it's just not worth it later. Like, I see guys that I grew up with, and you watch famous fighters that after a fight, they can't even have a conversation. Like, I remember talking to a guy, and they can't talk anymore. They can do what they do, but they can't get their words out. It's not a great thing to see. Like, it is hard.
It's tough, isn't it? It's very hard.
It's hard.
Hard to watch, hard to see, and then if you've got friends as well, that makes it even harder.
And you do notice it. Like, you do notice it. Like, if you have a series of fights in succession, things get a little bit slower. You lose your words a little bit. It does come back, but...
so you would have a couple, and then you would take a bigger break, or you would kind of...
Personally, yeah. But there was a point in time where I think I had 6 in 8 weeks.
6 fights in 8 weeks?
Yeah, because I went to some tournaments and stuff. So I had one, and then I fought twice in 2 days, and then I came back, and then I fought a week and a half later. I fought twice in one night, because I was in a 4-man, and then I came back, and a week and a half later I fought again. So it was a...
And those fights, you obviously didn't come off any injuries or anything?
Yeah. So I burst my eardrum in one. I almost had my liver burst. So I was...
Holy shit.
Bleeding internally and a few other...
And you still fought?
This was in the later part. And then I did fight once again after that, and it took its toll on me. Like, I then needed time.
Getting hit in the liver is not great.
Yeah.
I always try to explain to people what it's like to get hit in the liver. And you can't explain unless you actually hit them in the liver.
It's worse than being knocked out. At least knocked out, you just wake up and you go, did I win? No, you didn't. But you're awake. And it's your whole
body just goes into protect. You actually tense up and you go, actually, you do that.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah. And everything shuts down. It's great.
There's a whole body cramp.
Yeah. And everything, you're just like in this little ball of pain.
You laugh because it's incredible. The body's just, your body's just saying, protect it as an organ. That's a major organ.
Yeah.
And even as well, when you get knocked out and then you wake up and you still think you're in the fight. Like the other guy, you said, that's even just as incredible.
Yeah.
Does the body just protect itself?
Yeah. But I mean, that's good where all this sanctioning stuff now, and they
we're just about to get onto that. The sanctions, how does it? Have they changed their attitude now? Like,
Yep.
Would that still be allowed? That you doing?
No, you have to have time out.
Okay, yeah.
It's like, and I think the
Medical.
time's extended. It used to be, it got to a point where it was a month, and then it got. They pretty much tell you now. So you have to see a doc straight after your fight.
Yep.
They check you out,
Mhm,
and if you've taken
mhm.
some knocks, they will say he's not allowed to fight for 6 weeks or whatnot.
Wow.
So it's good. I like
well,
it.
It's much better now. That's I guess there's even in all these other sports now are doing like 12. They're doing 12-day, well, not suspension, but essentially other 12-day medical suspensions. Like you can't play. Like AFL now, there's that new rule. Yeah. You have your 12. You got 12 days off between between games if you have a concussion. Even training, like we had 2 guys go down the other week or on training. Yeah, it was on Tuesday, and then they can't play round 1. But it doesn't have to, like, head knock's a head knock. The hardest thing is that it's not scalable. You can't say that's a bad concussion or that's not a bad concussion. A concussion is a concussion. This is how people react. Because, like, even the Dangerfield and the Jake Kelly knock on the weekend, like, Jake Kelly was on the floor, he got concussed, broke his nose and that sort of stuff, but Dangerfield was able to play the rest. They still hit their head. Yeah. Still both got head, and Dangerfield was able to take it a little bit better than Kelly was.
Yep.
That'll be some of the fighting as well. Guys can get hit.
Some are good at it. Some are good at taking a punch. But there's only so many you can take.
And then when you
hear the thing where they're saying, "Oh, his chin's gone," or "His chin's gone," now he just gets knocked out. That's when you've had too many knocks. And it, in my opinion, shouldn't get that way. But it is a fight game. We are fighting, so it's like the awareness. So a lot of camps now don't do hard sparring. I only let our guys spar hard once a week, and even that, it's not hard. Like there's series of events when it's hard, but it's not every the hard that style. It doesn't even be like that anymore. Yeah, like you look at some of the guys, they don't, and UFC, they do not spar.
And Max Holloway
did not spar for his last camp and lit him up. It's like he'd been just sparring the whole time. Like his eye was in because he did his work. So you don't need the saying, you need like conditioning through the body, but not head knocks. A head knock is a head knock.
Do you feel like you still kind of need that for young, like a development fighter? Like you're in that kind of first kind of fights, because obviously Max Holloway is very experienced.
There's a balance. My opinion on that is if they're really comfortable at defending, they don't need to learn to take a punch. But they need to learn to be comfortable in that waterfall when it's all coming at you. They need to be comfortable there. It's not about taking a punch. You can either take a punch or you can't. That's what it is. But being settled and looking, and like if you close your eyes when someone starts coming, you're going down because you can't see, and the shot that you don't see is the one that puts you down. So being comfortable and being able to look and being able to react and knowing your skills that at this point in time with this big toolbox I've got, do I evade? Do I sidestep? Do I have the skills to do that? What's coming? Can I lean back? Can I counter?
But that's just so many repetitions and repetitions.
Yeah,
that's kind of why you're gonna have to still play fighting a little bit.
Yeah,
so you have to learn.
But you don't need to throw as hard as you can. Like there's times, and that's when we hit pads. Throw as hard as you can. It feels good hitting someone, unfortunately, but they're
primal instinct.
and they're your teammates. Like you do it, and it feels good until they're hurt, and then you feel like crap.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, why am I doing this? And then that's why this sort of shift has happened, that we do a lot of tech stuff and we do a lot of longer style sparring now, where rather than having 3 minutes of fast and hard, I might get the guys to train for spar one round of 20 minutes non-stop. And they learn that they can't go as hard.
Yes.
But they learn to read, they learn to flow, they actually learn to watch body reaction, and actually their fight IQ changes. It goes from I need to be fit, fast and hard to if I can relax, I'm not going to burn energy. And then when I need to expend energy, I'm going to be really accurate with what I do. So the whole theory changes, and that fight IQ just dramatically increases. And their way of fighting, and they actually take less damage in that 20 minutes than they would in 3 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. That fight IQ you mentioned, was that something that took a while for you to kind of get around, or was it something that kind of you just kind of clicked? And
for me, it clicked because I'm an overanalyzer. I'm always thinking why, and I've always been, why is this, or what does this do, or and always trying to understand why. And if you have that theory, you go, okay, so if he does this, I do this. Or no, that didn't work. Or if he does this, I do this. Or that worked. So it was always trying to combat, and it's like chess. Like sometimes I might sacrifice something now because I've learned that he will react to this, but this is what I want to do. So it's that fight IQ for me was always the thing. My brother, chalk and cheese. He's a tough.
Yeah.
He would stand there, let you wail, and then just hammer you. So
wow.
he was like chalk and cheese to the way I fought. Once again, really, really successful.
Yep.
But that fight IQ.
Did you watch a lot of footage or anything like that, or just kind of watched a lot of
that back in the day? Like,
because it wasn't really popular or didn't get recorded.
And just no one cared enough. I think like you watch now. If we would need to find someone that's had 3 fights, you can see 3 fights on thing. I've had 30 Muay Thai fights, and I think I've got copy for 5 of them on video.
Yeah, right. That's crazy.
So, and then everything else I've done and all of that. But like, I just never really cared enough to just lived in the moment.
So it was used with just lots of training, lots of watching, lots of asking.
Yeah. I watched a lot, but it was never. And my old trainer was like, "Don't worry about him. You worry about you." And he's like, "But what's his name?" He's like, "It doesn't matter. It's a person. He's going to try hurt you. You're going to try hurt him. It is what it is."
Did you ever try to match styles? Like if you knew, like you didn't know what the other guy's style was like, you try to match that. You just fought your own style.
Just always fight your fight. Those things have changed now because there's a lot more awareness, and we didn't have Facebook or any social media when we were fighting.
Yeah.
Like it all started to come out afterwards, but at that point in time, like no one was using it like it is now. Like the skill level in fighting is crazy compared to what it was. Why? Because there's so much exposure. Like we can now watch Dutch style training. You didn't know unless you knew. Like you can watch this, or you can watch tutorials or e-tutorials or whatever it is. You can get so much information and technique breakdowns that you couldn't get. You'd have to travel. You'd have to travel to Thailand to learn that stuff.
Yeah, right.
Now you just watch a video.
Yeah, so was Thailand the only place, and was that the only place you kind of learnt more skills? Like you went to the camp up in Thailand. Was there anywhere else you went to other camps?
No, I went to Myanmar when I went to fight Lethwei.
Yeah.
So, and we trained there, and that was an eye-opener again. It was even rawer, if that's a word.
Yeah.
Than Thailand. It was like you're driving down the main road, and it's like a city safari. There's like everything, and we trained in like a pergola that was probably less than 2 meters wide, and just down the side of a house. And that was the training camp. And these were guys that are like golden flag winners. Like golden flag is like a world champion Lethwei. Yeah. So I got to train with Lonchor, and I fought Dwayne Machar, which are now both in the Hall of Fame. So,
you fought them?
No, I trained with one.
Trained with one,
and then I fought one.
Far
and so it was like...
did you pick up a lot of...
Yeah. Pick myself up off the floor, you mean? So it was one of those ones.
That would have been how you learnt, right? They just,
yeah.
You're like, shit.
So what happened is we went over there. So I think it was 2010. I went to Myanmar. We got exemption to come in because it wasn't really open to. It was only expats. It wasn't like tourist or anything. So we got the option. So my brother went and fought. So we had 2 options. Essentially, we had a fair fight and we'd pay our way.
Yep.
Or we got paid. So we got paid. And it took a harder fight. So I ended up fighting... his name's Dwayne Machar, but he's a great. So if you search anything Lethwei, I still see mates posting stuff about him, and it's like... He's amazing. He stopped fighting, obviously, for a while now, but he's in the Hall of Fame. He was a Golden Flag winner. He was like notorious for... beating tall people.
Wow.
In Lethwei, in traditional rules, there's no weight classes, so it's you fight to knock out. There was no weight classes.
No weight classes.
It was just you fight. So used to were good. You fight.
Ooh.
So back in.
So it doesn't matter if you're turning 20 kilos.
Yeah. I mean,
difference.
Yeah. So a lot of the times it was. So we didn't weigh in when we got there. So we had a big press conference. Did all that, and there's no weigh in, there's no nothing. There's no judges, there's just a ref. And then if you last the rounds, it's a draw. And then if you don't, someone wins.
So last the rounds, it's a draw.
Yeah. So it's like the only way to win in Lethway is knockout.
Yeah.
So, and if it's not, it's a draw. So it was in a 2-day event, and my brother was the main event on day 1, and I was the main event on day 2, and it was live through Myanmar, which was pretty cool.
Crazy.
He's won the guy's fighting, so he was number 3, and apparently Dwayne Machar beat the snot out of him and put him in hospital and stuff. So he was number 3. My brother drew against him, but the fight was raw. Like,
It's obviously no gloves and
no gloves. You're allowed to headbutt. The only way to win is by KO. So it's essentially a street fight. You're not allowed to kick him on the floor, but it's not a 3-point contact rule. It's you get taught that if you go to hit the floor, you lie flat because a boot will come. They will try to kick you on the floor, like it's in motion.
Yeah. As you're falling, they'll kick.
Yeah, but you learnt to
just go out,
lay flat.
Did they so? Could you get counted out? Like if so, you get knocked out.
So count. Yeah, they'll count, and then that's your knockout.
Yeah, wow.
So, or they just know because you're out, and then they'll drag you to the corner and let you recover because it's a 1 knockout rule in Lethway. So in traditional rules, it's called grace. So you get 2 minutes to recover.
Yes. I was about to say
if you can recover, then you can fight again because their belief was anyone can knock someone out once, but to truly win, you've got to knock them out twice.
I think I think I've seen one in a video on like a Facebook just came up randomly, like someone knocked one out and then they had that 2 minutes grace and then they were like rubbing trying to wake him up, and then the guy ended up coming and winning.
Yeah, it happens sometimes.
That's crazy.
It's definitely not good for your brain.
No, it's not.
But different world.
And I think with science and technology now these days, I heard that UFC are doing a study with psychedelic mushrooms and brain health because they say it's a lot of it. A lot of the psychedelic mushrooms are able to regenerate neurons in the brain. So it'll be interesting to see kind of in the next 10, 20 years and the research that comes out and how much you can apply it and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Like CBD oil is good for inflammation, and that's what usually happens after concussion. Usually a lot of people who have anxiety and depression, brains usually are swelling, and there's some sort of damage or something that's happened to the brain, and that's what helps recovery and all that sort of stuff as well. So I reckon the next 10, 20 years and the development on, and say, people attitudes towards those types of medication, I guess, how they react and that sort of stuff. Because you can buy mushroom extracts now like that aren't psychoactive in any way. Yeah, that's all legal and that sort of stuff. But the health benefits, they're obviously still going through the research and that sort of stuff now.
And that's it. And if it gets heavily regulated, then how much quality is going to come through and what sort of things with that. But it's out there, and it is interesting to see what they're going to do over the next 10 years or so.
Yeah, because it's all well and good, like the whole 12 days off suspension for AFL, and the guy, like if you're fighting, you have however many months you have off, but it's always got to be something that's got to come up after, because a lot of the kind of attitudes once you retire from a sport, it's just you're done training, but the more or less what you should actually keep training just as much, or you pull it back a little bit. Obviously you're not fighting, but just training just to keep your body moving, because that's what it's been used to for so long, and then once you stop training, everything just shuts down. Yeah,
and you got to keep your mind active, and that's the part you see. Like you're heavily stimulated 5 to 6 days a week, and then you go to nothing, and that idle mind's the devil's playground as well. So you start and you watch, and then that's when they fall into.
The idle of the mind is the devil's playground.
Yeah, idle mind is the devil's playground. So it's like that thing where you just start getting depressed, and then you got nothing to work for, nothing to live for, and that is a hard one. And you watch it, and then you watch them put on kilos. You watch the old footy players; they just put on, and that's that sort of stuff, because they've got nothing now. Like being that athlete or whatnot, you driving towards something. You're always driving towards something. You've got no goal or anything, and then that's when that sort of slips, and then they take a lot of a turn for the worse.
How long has it been now since your last fight?
A few years now. So
was when your last fight you've been going? Was it straight into coaching, or was it kind of a grace?
No, I was coaching.
Oh, you were coaching prior.
So I've coached for a good 7 years now. So and I was still fighting and stuff, but I wasn't coaching full time. So I was still being a trainer and stuff like that, but I wasn't coaching full time.
Because not all fighters become great coaches,
Nope.
do they?
No. And you don't need, in my opinion, you don't need to be a fighter to be a great coach. You have to have the care. Coaching's a passion. And in a selfish sport, it doesn't always work, like, because they still care more about themselves than...
Yes. Okay, yeah, you're right. The coach will be more... Because he was a fighter, was selfish, and then...
But in the same thing, you don't need to be a fighter to be it, but that's a rarity, in my opinion. I think you need to know what it feels like.
Yeah, especially
you don't need to be a champion. You don't have to have like, oh, well, how many belts or what did you do? That doesn't bother me. Like, you look at some of the best coaches, they didn't make it anywhere. They just absolutely love the art. But I still feel like you need to know what it feels like. It's not essential, and there is rarities that can prove it wrong, and there is some around that I personally know. But when you're telling someone to get up off the canvas, or when they're tired and they're tasting blood in their thing because they can't stand, they're losing focus, and you're telling them to do something,
and you haven't been there.
I respect it far more from someone that I know's been in that position and has bit down on their mouth guard, got up, and finished. So I think you don't. It helps if you've been there and done that, and then because they trust you. So it's not leading from position; it's leading from inspiration. So making sure. So it's like being a trainer because you're the trainer, or they're actually looking up to you because you've done the journey that they're on. So they do respect you a lot more, and they will actually listen more in that sort of first part until you prove your merits.
Exactly. Did you find it hard to kind of separate coach from fighter?
Yep.
What was the process you took? Was there
I didn't take any of the fighters. So at the first part, it was just general classes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And I trained in the fighters. You can't do both. It's very, very hard.
Yeah, okay. Because if you're still fighting and then coaching at the same time.
Yeah. So I trained privately with the other coach.
Yeah, okay.
So, and my brother and stuff. So we had the fight stuff, and then the general class is what we taught. So we had the fighters class, and we just trained. So that was 100% focus. And then...
Once you started doing that, the passion grew for coaching?
Yeah, I love coaching.
Yeah. Always? Or was it just...
Always.
Because obviously you were saying such an over-analyzer and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Kind of able to teach the kids or teach the general public better that way.
Yeah. So understanding, and when you start coaching, you actually start learning more again. So you have to start breaking, because you think you're good at something until you have to teach it. And you're like, how do I even explain this?
Yeah, that's true.
And it's like, and then you start finding like analogies and stuff like that are like penny drop moments and cues that go, oh, I understand this now.
Because I guess a lot of the fighting as well, it's a lot of intuitive based. Like you got to be able to understand movements that you make in your own head, like how you move, and then you're gonna have to try to voice that out to someone else who's not always on the same wavelength as you are. So you're gonna have to try a lot of different cues and whether sometimes one cue might work for one person but doesn't work for another person.
That's exactly it. So there's a lot of different ways to get the same thing out. And stripping it and just making it simple was something I've learned along the way in coaching, that all the cool stuff, it's cool. It looks amazing and takes time. But the simple stuff wins fights. And the simple stuff is actually the hardest to teach, like basic footwork or basic movement, or understanding that just because like that one technique might not work for different shapes and sizes. So someone that's short and stocky will be able to do things better in close range than someone that's tall and lanky. But then you're trying to teach, I mean, you still got to learn them, but you're trying to teach that big long range stuff to a shorter guy, they're never going to do well. But then the taller guy's going to do well. So it's like understanding that how I would throw a hook versus how a short person would throw a hook is different, and there's no one way anymore. It's not, oh no, that's how it's taught. That's not a thing anymore. It's basic body mechanics. If you are in balance, or if you're structurally sound, if you've got your center of gravity and your joints and everything's tight and in the right sort of angles, it will work. If it's not, you'll break something.
Well, how many times have it? Recently I've seen so many fights with a guy gets knocked out because he's simply just overreaching on a strike, and his head's up in the air, or he's overextended, and then it's easy for someone just to clip over the top and see you later. So that's what refining technique is
That's
The simple
difference
things.
between good and great is the work they put in behind the scenes. So yes, there's talent, but it's determination and doing the little things a lot. You know, like rather than just doing, oh, the coach said I need to do 100. Do it until you get it. Do it until you get it and get better at 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 it. So now it's autonomous. I don't actually have to think about it. So like having to like look where you punch versus having to just punch, it's when you get that, you've got the technique.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. So when did you take on board strength and conditioning in your camps at any stage? Or was it more?
A little bit. So
Because that would have obviously been the era where it was kind of...
yeah.
Martial arts probably would have been kind of the last kind of sports they would have taken on board.
Yeah.
SNC.
So it wasn't until, I reckon, that 10 mark. So I'd been training for 6 years before I'd even pick up a weight. Yeah.
Did you do any weights like in your hands, like punching?
Yeah,
you did all that sort of stuff. Yeah,
but
yeah.
like no squats, no conditioning. Like our conditioning was body weight or it was just fight based. And then all this stuff started to come out that it was already out. It just actually went into the martial arts, and then I ended up becoming a personal trainer, and that's when I delved into strength and conditioning and just really, really loved the difference and the explosiveness. Not even as much like the aesthetic style of
Looking good.
training. Yeah, that never really, being an ectomorph, it never really phased me.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
No. But being stronger and being able to like hit faster and move quicker,
That's where you felt the difference.
that's when I felt, and that's when I sort of delved into that. Sort
Did
of
you have
strength.
kind of any like ailments, like in terms of like any injuries that kind of limited you doing any types of movements?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So I broke my hands a few times, which changes your whole thought process on throwing. So I've had 2 surgeries on my left hand.
Yeah.
And other cracks and fractures. I've fractured my right hand 3 or 4 times.
So were they throwing straights or?
Left hand was left hooks.
Okay.
And right hand was straights.
So when you say throwing them differently, how so? Is it?
Yeah, a bit more tentative. You don't throw
okay.
at will anymore. You have to make sure that you're hitting with the knuckles as opposed to just throwing. And then I tore the cartilage cap off my shoulder on my right side. So every time
How'd you do that?
Fighting. I don't
Just-
know. It just hurt. But then every time I would throw a right cross, when I was tired, there would be subluxation and my shoulder would fall out and my fingers would get tingly and it would sublux, so it would fall out and drop. And then it would come back and then I just got real tentative. And there was a good 5 fights where I didn't throw a right hand.
Oh.
Just because I didn't want to get it operated on, because I didn't want to be out of fighting, because it became an obsession at that time.
So okay. So it wasn't really, the money was more you just love.
Yeah,
fighting.
you don't make money in Muay Thai.
Yeah.
You make money in boxing. You now make money in MMA. You don't make money in Muay Thai.
It's just the love of the art.
Yeah, it's just...
It is
It
steeped.
becomes a passion.
It is steeped in tradition as well, Muay Thai, isn't it? Like it was originally like the armbands that they wear. I think I was reading is from with these when they would go to the army would be the loved ones like strand of like clothing or something. Is that right?
Clothing and hair and stuff, yeah.
It's great. What's the in the headband? What is that?
Yeah, your Mong Kong. Yeah,
Yeah.
same thing. It respects and it's good luck, so it's never allowed to touch the floor. And then everything. So when we do our Waikaru and Ramui, it's all based off family, protection, and your gym. So everything that's usually done in 3 is done in honour and in protection. So it's all a sort of a blessing, and you're asking for protection. It's cool, and there is a lot of religion that comes into that, but the basic thing, we don't need to delve into too much as being Westerners, but it is very, the feeling you get when you watch it, and when you watch the traditionals do it's amazing.
Yeah, because they start so young, and it means so much to them because it was been such a long history and of it.
Yeah,
so much of them. Yeah, I hope you see them when you watch fights and all that. It's amazing.
Yeah,
How much-
definitely. Yeah,
How much it means to them, and
and at the start you watch people, what is this? And then when you get involved in it, it actually makes you like it's like a premeditation before fighting. It gets you ready, gets your head in the game. You're ready to now compete.
Isn't there one as well? They do like a dance, but it's like a dance, but it's like a warm up.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
a stretching, you do
It's a
like you
warm-up,
go into like a deep lunge type of thing. I've seen
deep
that.
lunge. So when you look at the biomechanics of it, it's a 3-dimensional warm-up.
Yeah.
It was just to show respect and honor to your camp.
The dance, yeah.
Yeah, and so things are like bringing the troops, and there's other parts in it, but I come from this camp, and you can tell by the way they sharpen their sword, or some might shoot an arrow, or or whatever sort of dance, and they mimic a bird, or they come from this camp. That's how it used to be. But when you look as like a strength coach or someone in the field, you go, okay, so this is your transverse movement, or this is your frontal plane. They're warming up through here. They're warming up the hip flexors. They're warming up this.
Yeah, that's what I was watching. It's like, that's like a deep lunge. His hip flexor stretch, and he's doing this sort of stuff.
And they're up, and they get their shoulders warming, and then they have the rotation, and they have external rotation through the hips, everything. When you look at that, and then there's the spiritual meaning behind it. But yeah, it is a body.
I love it. I reckon that's amazing.
Yeah.
Anything that's steeped in history like that makes it a bit more, like it's more passion. You can just how passionate they are about it. It adds value to you fighting in that art or that martial art as well.
Yeah.
So, did you ever take, I guess, if you did Burmese kickboxing, Lethwei, and Muay Thai, was there anything like crossovers in terms of the art, like in terms of like striking? Do they strike different, or like besides the headbutting and the no gloves, was there like you took something from Lethwei and added it to your Muay Thai game?
Just the obviously trying to block a punch with a glove versus trying to block a punch with no gloves, they slip through. So it'd always be a finger, so you'd actually grab your head. So little things like that, the way you tightened up, the way you walked through with your long guard.
Okay.
And like dealing with that sort of stuff was pretty much outside of that. Like
it's not much.
There's not much difference. Like one's a bit faster. They the Lethwei style, throw a few more hands and kick, and their clinching's a lot messier because they're trying to headbutt each other and stuff like that. It used to get a bad rap with that, but now everyone seems to love it because they just love brutality. And if you look at Burmese, and now we've got the bare knuckle boxing, that's huge. In my opinion, it's nowhere near the same level as Lethwei.
The bare knuckle boxing.
Yeah, but because it's promoted, they make money off it.
Do you find that it's a hard kind of balance, right? Because people who love the brutality of the sport, but it's not about that, like we've said before. It's not. Do you find you do feel conflicted with that a little bit, or?
No, I like watching a scrap too.
Okay.
Like I do. Like for me, it's not about anger anymore. It's about competing, and I like to win. So, if that means I've got to hurt this person,
if it gets messy, it gets messy, right?
Okay, yeah. But afterwards, you go and check on them, and you usually go and have a beer and chill out, and you've now made a best your friends. So then you follow their career.
And you said, because it's not promoted as well, there wouldn't be much trash talking.
No. That's the part of the game I don't like, but it's the part of the game that makes money. There's two types of people that go see you win and people that go see you lose. And unfortunately, people go to see you lose more often than they go see you win. They want to see you lose. And that makes money.
It does, doesn't it? So does coaching now takes up a lot more of your time than actual training yourself?
Yeah, 100%. So it's number one.
That's your passion. Yeah.
It has been for a while now.
Yeah, probably for the last 7 years you've been.
Yeah, probably the last 3-4 years I've really wanted to have a strong camp, have something, but have my ideals and my ideology passed down now. It's not saying I'm old. It's not saying I'm.
Yeah.
But my theories and what I've learned along my sort of 17 years of fighting, I'm like, you don't need to learn from my mistakes. You don't need to learn from being tough or being this or that stuff. That stuff, in my opinion, is done. I still train, as you know, I train you hard. But there's always some part afterwards or this or like we aren't doing hard sparring now. Back in the day, it was just hard every time until this technology, like learning this stuff and researching stuff, it's really good because you don't need to do the same thing wrong over and over. You don't need to earn your stripes that way anymore.
What would be the one piece of gold, like the gold nugget of advice that you would give out to any of your students? What would that one? Do you have one clear message that you want to get across to someone?
I don't know. It depends on like if you give me an instance, I could tell you whatever it was. But for every sort of person, it would
It's different
be.
for everyone.
Mine would be enjoy the ride. Don't take it too seriously.
Okay.
Like be obsessive.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
great. Yeah. Do as much research as you can. We've got
Not
it
as
there
much,
now.
yeah.
But enjoy it. Like it's like if
That's
you
the right
lose, it's
balance.
okay. It's okay. Like you're gonna lose. I hate to break it to you, but
That's
you're gonna
such a
lose.
hard mental process to go through. Like,
Yeah, it's not the end of the world.
you're going to lose a fight.
You got a roof over your head. You got family. You got loved ones. You've got a job. Whatever it is, that is number one.
Being okay.
But I still believe that you need to obsess over it if you want to be great. So if you want something in life, like all these things where you need to rest, you need to do that. Yeah, that's right. But you need to put the hard yards in. That they just don't always need to be damaging.
The undefeated record, or that sort of stems from boxing, doesn't it? Like,
Just everything. It was great. Like
You
I'm
get-
lucky enough I had lost my second fight.
so you had to get over that
It
quickly.
was done. Like I watched guys.
yeah.
It was done. Like I either keep fighting or I'm done. And I wasn't done. I watch guys, they've had wins and wins and wins and wins and wins and then have a loss, and
Like, they go,
their pride outweighs their resilience, and they go, "Oh, I'm no good." You're amazing. You had 9 wins before you had a loss.
But yeah, that fighter's chance, like, he's
Yeah.
get hit. and then that's
Someone's
it.
got to lose. It's okay to lose. It's okay if and it's the hardest thing. Like the worst thing that hurts, and you can have cuts and bruises and broken bones, but your pride hurts. It's the worst feeling is losing for myself.
Pride and vanity, yeah.
Yeah, it hurts, and it takes a couple of weeks to get over. It makes you hungry,
I bet it does.
or it breaks you.
It's great, like, yeah, how it just breaks people like that because they just get him so self-involved. He's selfish sport,
Yep.
and they just let it.
And the hype train, everyone talking, oh, he's the next best thing. If
And
they
it
can't
gets-
overcome a loss,
feeds them.
they just they feed off that. But you can feed off different things. Like not everything has to be blowing smoke up your ass. Oh, you're so amazing. Then come back and prove that you are that guy still. Like just because you've had a loss, it's okay. You're allowed to lose.
Doesn't mean anything.
Like it's fine. Like nowadays with this, like because it's so heavily, and we're talking different. Like we're talking different ponds. The elites, it's different. They only fight a couple of times a year. If their rankings drop. But outside of that, just the general sort of people and people fighting international but not at that higher level,
Yeah.
you're going to lose. It's okay. You learn a lot from losing. You learn more from losing than you do from winning. And the one thing I learned is I don't want to do it again. It's going to happen, but
Yeah.
let's train the
Get
house
better.
down.
Yeah.
Train like you've got the hardest fight coming and you'll do all right. You might not win, but I've watched fights where I've had more respect for that loser of that fight than that fight where it was like, well, you just toyed with them and finished when you wanted. Those two showed spirit. They showed heart, they showed determination, they showed grit. And it was amazing. So there's no loser there. Yeah, someone gets an L on their record, but you walk out of that and everyone cheers that guy. Man, that was such a great fight.
Yeah.
That's better than the other guy goes, oh yeah, well done. Like you beat a donkey. Like it wasn't a great matchup. So it was like it's not all losses are bad.
No, you're right. That's true.
They still feel like crap.
Yeah. But it's not the stigma that you don't want to have the perfect
Yep.
record. You want to be able to show that you've come back from adversity
You
and
just want to look back on it and go, yeah, like I personally, if I didn't fight again now, I'm still happy with everything I did. I got to
Okay.
travel the world.
yeah.
I got to fight. I learnt skills. I've got friends. I changed my life around. And I went from being a chef and being a naughty kid to being in the fitness industry and loving training people and changing people's lives and do that. And that came originally from fighting.
The discipline of fighting, isn't it?
Yeah. Because I left being a chef so I could fight. So I changed my whole career and became a trainer. And I was one of the lucky ones that actually made it as a PT.
There's not many that do make it.
No. It's a cutthroat business.
Would you ever get back to fighting again?
Yeah.
If a right opportunity presented itself, I guess.
Yeah, nah. Yeah, I'd like to. There's a few things in my thing that I would like to redeem. Did a few dumb ones. Didn't train hard enough. Those no shortcut things that I spoke about earlier.
Yeah, you took some of the shortcuts.
I took those shortcuts. I took a dumb fight. I didn't train. I hit pads twice and I got bashed.
Yeah,
and it's on me.
If you don't put the work in,
Yeah.
it's gonna show. Like you said,
it's no one else's fault. It's no disrespect to the other person. It's on me,
and
that doesn't sit well.
Okay, here's what I would
But
do.
I've accepted it. So
Obviously, you wouldn't go back now to change those things, or would you?
no, I just
You're
like
happy-
to prove
happy-
to myself that
if you did it
not
properly.
even go out on a win or what. Like just go out and go, okay, I'm happy that I've redeemed the laziness in that fight. Than anything else. Win, loss, it doesn't matter, but putting the proper camp in, doing things, not taking the shortcuts, proving that it was because of that. Like I fight better now, like or whatnot. And I've learned a lot since then as well. Like my skill is still continually growing, everything else, my hunger, my passion, it's still there. It's in different ways now. Would I like to fight again? Yes, I would. If I didn't, I'm okay with that.
Okay, you at peace.
Yeah, I'm at peace, yeah, I'm okay. Like it is what it is.
Those lazy points where you had throughout that for your career, did it come after you kind of had a succession, like success after a certain amount of time? You kind of got, your head got a little bit too big maybe? Or was it just kind of, you weren't in shape at that time, you just kind of took a fight?
I just wasn't training.
Okay.
Like that was the big thing. I wasn't training, I was drinking beer every night, I wasn't living a healthy lifestyle.
And was that early on? In the middle?
No, it was the end.
At the
last 3 fights, like I'd probably drink every night. I wasn't healthy. There was no motivation. There was no drive. There was no goal. And it was, do you want to have a fight? Or such and such needs a matchup. All right. Or whatever. And I just didn't put anything. I didn't hit pads. There was no respect. There was no nothing. And I got exposed. And that's okay.
Why you've kind of tapered off, haven't had a fight for so long because you kind of had enough. By that stage.
I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy with training. I wasn't happy with fighting. I did it because it was a thing, but there was no passion in them. That passion is well and truly back now that circumstances have changed and other things have changed in my life and stuff. But there's no excuse to it. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But life does get in the way sometimes. But those things have changed. Everything's realigned, and I'm sort of in one of the best positions I've ever been in. So that's when I start looking at it. That's when I start training. But I'm really enjoying coaching and watching guys train and evolve and understand that this is the game. And it's exciting. And then my thing is to them is enjoy this ride.
Yeah.
Enjoy the highs. Deal with the lows because they make you who you are later in life.
That's true. Well, I can definitely see how much passion you have for coaching.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it. I love having you as my coach, mate.
Yeah,
We'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, Bryan. I appreciate it, mate.
Anytime.
Awesome. We might have to do an episode 2, I reckon.
All right,
Part 2
good.
later on.
Legend.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, mate.